Now, this is a tech level 5 ship. Actually, is it going to actually lose? It's actually going to lose? That is nuts. Because before, like, I recorded this one after the MC90 one. And the MC90 crushed both an Imperial 1 and 2 at the same time. Well, one after, right after another. I thought, I genuinely came in thinking, okay, well, the Imperial 2 is going to lose. But, we'll, you know, I'll try and make my point over 1 or 2 ships. I didn't, wow, you know, just wow. New Republic to me feels like a faction that introduces you to Empire at War and Thrawn's Revenge. The selection of ships seem relatively straightforward and need minimal micromanagement with its actives, positionings, and ships for specific situations. So for this video, I wanted to run through my top 5 ships for New Republic in Empire at War, Thrawn's Revenge. Just a heads up, I am a little sick as well, so I do apologise if my voice sounds a little bit more croakier than usual, but let's just get straight into it. Oh, before I do actually jump into the video, if you end up liking the video, be sure to drop us a subscribe and have bell notifications turned on. I've got a lot more of these faction-based videos for Empire and Corporate Sector coming soon, so be sure to hit that button so you don't miss them. But anyway, back to the video. Coming in at number 5 is the Nebula Star Destroyer. Now, I'm somewhat disappointed about this. I actually wanted to put the Nebula in a high position, especially when it's a certain someone's favourite ship. But honestly guys, this spacecraft kind of feels underwhelming. Speaking strictly on the basis of skirmish mode, you spend an astronomically large amount of time teching or leveling up to tech level 5, and that's just to be even able to build this thing. And tech level 5 is the final tech level, so you're already really late into the game, and usually games are decided way before that. So even if you do get to that tech level 5, and you spend about 7,000 credits to build this thing, place it into the map, and then you just realize the damage output just isn't there, which is kind of confusing considering how strong these ships are in Legends. The Imperial 2, which is a far similar stat ship in game, is something you can earn far faster in the Empire faction, and it feels a lot more justifiable for its total cost than the Nebula. But that's for another time, and I'll probably explain that further in another video. Okay, so I actually wanted to show like the Nebula Star Destroyer, you know, actually doing some work. Yeah, so we've got one right here. So let's throw an Imperial 2 on it. I know it is going to be an Imperial 2, obviously, because I mean it's a tech level 4 ship. In Nebula is a tech level 5, but now this is a tech level 5 ship. Actually, is it going to actually lose? It's actually going to lose? That is nuts. Because before, like, I recorded this one after the MC90 one, and the MC90 crushed both an Imperial 1 and 2 at the same time. Well, one after, right after another. So this ship is stupidly underpowered in the mods. So I think it definitely needs a buff in the next patch. Holy moly. Wiped completely. I thought, I genuinely came in thinking, okay, well, the Imperial 2 is going to lose, but, we'll, you know, I'll try and make my point over 1 or 2 ships. I didn't, wow, you know, just wow. Hyperspace jumping into 4th place is the MC90. Now, I've got to admit, guys, at first, I wasn't really too pumped about this ship. For skirmish mode, any ship that favors defensive abilities, in my opinion, tend to have a higher risk, as shield boosting actives are only really effective based on your positioning, your fleet structure, overall careful timing, and a lot more. But once you overcome that, and you soon realize that this ship is the same price as the Nebula, but it's built at tech level 4 and overall has better stats. When used correctly in the right fleet, I have to say that this ship really excels, and I can finally understand why there's a significant amount of love for this spacecraft. Its playstyle might not be for many, since it can be somewhat scary placing such an expensive asset on the front lines in some scenarios. But guys, if you haven't already, I really recommend giving this ship a try in one of your fleets, whether it be in Galactic Conquest or Skirmish, and let me know what you guys think. If you haven't used it before, I'd love to know your opinions on it. Okay, MC90, show me what you got. Oh, wow, wow. Well, look at that. Size does not matter to the Mon Calamari, that's for sure. Oh wow, that is melting the shields. Wow, MC90 really just show it who's boss. Okay, cool. Right, let's see what he does to a 2.
Yes, Commander.
Wow, even a 2, an Imperial 2, damn. Like, just melts through it. Well, there you go. Now you know the true power of an MC90. Blasting into number 3 is the Quasar. I know, it's boring. But with early game carriers being so strong during tech level 1, and a fundamental for fighter spawners in Galactic Conquest fleets, the Quasar has to be in this list, whether or not it's a good stat ship. This would actually be higher on the list, but due to its slightly higher price than its Empire counterpart, it sits firmly in 3. The reason it costs a little more is due to the high stats and attack bonuses when it runs out of fighters, although that might happen with the Empire carrier as well, I'm not too sure. I just feel that those stats are relatively unnecessary since it becomes practically a dead weight by the time it has completely ran out of fighters and bombers anyway. I feel like these type of ships aren't really built for the stats. Again, it's just really just built for this fighter spawning and nothing else. So that's why it's never been seen in the front lines. It's always way back in the back lines and seeing absolutely no action. Other than that, there isn't really much to add to the Quasar. It's built almost 98% of the time in skirmish involving New Republic, and it pays for itself in fighters and bombers relatively easily, providing that you keep it protected. If you're not building these in your skirmish games at least, then you might want to reconsider your strategy. So that's why the Quasar is in my top 5. With second place in its sights, the Corellian Corvette is a personal favourite anti-fighter of mine. The build time is super fast, it's sturdier than most anti-fighters, and it does its single job of whiting Vipers and bombers incredibly fast. Expect a strong advantage when you're facing against Empire's TIE fighters or the corporate sector's Z95s. Another strong advantage to them is the ability to capture asteroids without enemy fighters interfering and the player struggling to even notice how small it is. Usually a anti-fighter wouldn't really actually see my list, but when used correctly, especially in skirmish and the positionings behind asteroids, it's really effective, and it can really trick players into realizing that you haven't got control over that asteroid yet. Tactics like that, I kind of have to put it into the list. Although while many might not use this technique or even know it exists, I really recommend giving it a try. It will definitely snap a lot more income away from your enemy without them even realizing, and still fighting for an asteroid that you've had probably for 5 minutes already. So while there's also cheaper options in the Fall of the Republic, I voice the LAC, the Corvette is seriously effective. I would be quite surprised if you didn't build this ship in almost all of your campaign games or in some 1v1s. If you've watched our previous top 5 videos, the first place goes to a ship that is significantly stronger than anything else. Something we'd all consider OP. This isn't really the case for this list, as the Boffin assault cruiser sees itself in first. During my earlier playthroughs of Thrawn's Revenge, a lot of my fleet builds focused on the MC80 and the MC80B during the mid-game, but with so many ships focused on defensive capabilities, it was really difficult to push through any offensive fleet. In skirmish, this can lose you a game pretty quickly if you haven't got secured map control already before the enemy. That's when I came across the Boffin assault cruiser in Tech Level 3. The firepower on this bad boy can easily match a Victory 1 or a Victory 2. And its range is incredibly helpful to keep those large amounts of map control whilst attacking from the backlines. I never really enjoyed playing as the New Republic much as a faction until this ship. I generally implore you guys to give it a spin, include it in one of your fleets, and come back to me on your thoughts about it. Its playstyle is completely different than most New Republic ships, and whilst it's still very vulnerable, I try to include it in almost every one of my games as I played the New Republic, whether it be in skirmish or in Galactic Conquest. Another thing I really like about this ship is, of course, as I mentioned before, all the other ships have these defensive, active abilities, which can be very hard to micromanage because obviously these are actives that are removed once your shields are completely removed, and a ship like this can excel its damage output much like a lot of the Empire ships can, and it's really like not as difficult to manage compared to using like an MC80. I just feel like you'd probably want to just save up for the MC-90, not build those MC-80s, and build Boffin assault cruisers instead on that tech level 3. Of course, if you're really struggling to push for that tech level 4, then the MC-80s would probably, you know, do the job as a frontliner, because these ships cannot be in the front line whatsoever. But have 2 or 3 of these guys together, they can really do some serious damage to some big ships, well above their, you know, credit costs. So much like you would build the battle dragons in groups of 3 or 4, Boffin assault cruisers can do this just as well, if not maybe better, just purely because of their range. I really, really do enjoy the range, and it kind of reminds me of the Recusant light destroyer in the Confederacy faction. So the map control there is really, really easy with these ships. So what do you think about this list? I wanted to give an honorable mention to K and E-Wings. Those are some next-gen fighters and bombers that do an incredible job against all others in the mod. I wanted to give some time to the Majestic ship, but I haven't really played around with it much yet. So who knows, it might actually overtake one of these ships in my list. Let me know what you think of the list in general and what changes that you would make. Just of course, make sure to keep yours Galactic Conquest and Skirmish friendly. If you've enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you'd like to even more, a subscribe and a bell notification would honestly go a long way. If you've already done that, be sure to go and check out my socials below. I've been Charlie, this is X2, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.